If you pick up a product and on the label it says therapeutic grade, medical grade, they're meaningless. They're meaningless terms. And I think that a lot of people are swayed into possibly purchasing a product that's way more expensive than it needs to be because of something like that.
Skincare is a very personal journey. It's hard to find anything that is one size fits all. All of us are unique. Just starting from skin color and then the amount of oil, you can be oily, dry, combo, any one of those things. And then just whatever genes you have, right? Some of us may have a family history of certain skin conditions. There are so many variables when it comes to our skin.
There are so many choices. Having a lot of choices really isn't a bad thing, I don't think. It's just a matter of cutting through the noise and all the marketing to really just say, these things are good for my skin and this is what I will use.
You Are Beautiful, podcast with J. Kim, ND.
Welcome to the You Are Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Dr. J. Kim. I'm a facial plastic surgeon, and I'm on a mission to make the world a more beautiful place, starting with you. There are 3 core truths you must embrace to become the most beautiful version of yourself. The first is that you are beautiful. The second is that you are unique. And the third is that you are worth it. Let's dive in. Today, I have a wonderful guest joining the You Are Beautiful podcast. This is Lisa Duffy. She is founder and creator of Magnolia Skin Essentials. Today, we're going to talk about her journey to achieve her most beautiful skin and how Magnolia Skin Essentials is changing the game of skincare. So let's welcome Lisa Duffy to the You Are Beautiful podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. I appreciate it.
So first things first, how do you make the world a more beautiful place?
That's such a great question, and I think such an important question, basically for everybody. But myself, I try and make the world a beautiful place, first and foremost through the person that I am. I try and be a forthright, honest, and loving person, and I try and share that with everybody. Going beyond that, sort of the basic duties, if you will, I have created Magnolia Skin Essentials, which is a clean skincare line. And I've formulated the products to really bring out the beautiful skin that I think all of us have, whether we've taken great care of our skin or not, especially as we age. It's so easy to get discouraged when your skin becomes dry and dull and other, things happen like wrinkles and everything, but there is beauty underneath. And if you know how to cultivate it, if you know how to cultivate healthy skin, it's not that difficult. And you can be very happy with the condition of your skin. And so I like to share with people, not just the products and how to make their skin beautiful, but also promote the idea or the truth that, just like you say, we are unique and we are given an innate beauty. And if we cultivate that, we can find great happiness and share that happiness with other people.
That's wonderful. I really love that idea of being a beautiful person first and then talking about your skincare brand. How did Magnolia Skin Essentials come to be? Because there are so many skincare companies, skincare products out there. It's really frankly overwhelming to figure out which one works best for you. So can you go through kind of your journey of trying to find your best skin and how you started Magnolia Skin Essentials?
Sure. Well, I think for me, things started to change dramatically within my, physical self when I was about 45. It was the magic number. Everything began changing: my skin, my weight, my hair, even my eyelashes that had been long and beautiful for so long. We're just little tiny little stubs now. So some of that was due to menopause, but I think that just overall, as we age, we change in these dramatic ways. I was struggling to find products that would not make my skin sensitive, not make it flush and red and sometimes really irritated, especially around my eyes. But then also that would help me have healthy skin. I remember coming out of a big box store with 2 products that I had paid over $100 for, and I was really down on myself because the products made big promises, and so that's why I spent the money. But then I started looking at the labels, and I was like, what is this? What am I putting on my face to begin with? And that sort of just spurred a natural interest in the things that I was putting on my skin, which obviously led to research about ingredients. And I actually just sort of fell in love with the understanding of how things worked on your skin. It sounds a little nerdy, but I actually decided that I wanted to take some formal training in cosmetic formulation. And so I did. I was certified in organic skincare, and I always take continuing education. And so it's just a really fascinating world of skincare, but I naturally gravitated toward the clean skincare movement. And I don't really want to villainize any other companies. I just think that there is so much goodness in nature that why shouldn't we take advantage of it? It doesn't mean everything in nature should be put on your skin, but it does mean that there are some incredibly amazing ingredients from nature that can be on your skin and that can have really wonderful effects. And so with my formulating knowledge and the research that I had done, I stumbled across Magnolia bark extract, which actually I was interested in this botanical because I'm from the South. I live in Charleston, South Carolina.
Wonderful town.
It's so wonderful. And of course, magnolias, it's the queen flower down here. And so I was very interested to see if there was anything to it, because at the time of my research, botanicals were the big thing.
Right.
And the more I found research on it, the more I realized what an amazing ingredient it is. It is a super antioxidant. It has anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties. And all 3 of those things together make it such a wonderful ingredient for your skin, especially for aging skin. It has a great impact on your skin and really can, as I mentioned before, sort of cultivate that healthy skin that we all want to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story and telling us how that ties into your creation of Magnolia. The thing about botanicals, and this might seem a little crude or rudimentary, but I always think of back when I used to live in Houston, Texas. We used to swim all the time, and I would get sunburned a lot. And I remember I guess maybe we could call it a botanical, is my dad would get a leaf of an aloe plant, and we would rub the pulp of that aloe on our skin. And I remember exactly how cooling that was. So I'm sure there are many skincare products that have aloe among other botanicals. But yeah, the idea of magnolia extract having such power in multiple aspects. And, there's something to be said about the olden ways of health and medicine prior to the modern westernized medicine that we know today, where extracts, roots, a lot of herbal remedies were basically the way of healthcare before vaccines and pharmaceuticals and things like that. I love the fact that Magnolia is really at the heart of your skincare line. In terms of a target consumer for Magnolia Skin Essentials, would you say there's a particular person, particular skin type who would benefit the most?
I believe that women with mature skin, aging skin benefit the most. I think all skin types benefit from it. But yes, a doctor once told me that our bodies are like, if you can imagine this, a lit cigarette. And I think he was sort of going a little bit for shock value, but it really was a great illustration. And that was just, imagine a lit cigarette, and the ash is, burning it's burning down, and you have this big long ash. You said, this is what happens when you get older. When you're young, the tip is just lit. But as we age, we oxidize. And the cure for oxidization, or not the cure, but, the way to slow that down, of course, is with antioxidants. And Magnolia bark extract has a ton of research behind it, but it's also been used for centuries in Chinese medicine. It's been used for so long, so it's definitely known, and it's definitely used for many, many different internal ailments, as well as the aroma of the flower has been used to treat anxiety.
Yeah.
And so it has so many beautiful uses, but that super antioxidant is so good for your skin. It really helps, with cell turnover and things like that. So I just think it's a wonderful product. So yes, I mean, if you have aging skin and you're starting to see those lines, you can probably speak to this better than I can, but once a wrinkle forms, it's done deal, right? And all you can do is sort of relax it. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, I think when it comes to skin where a wrinkle kind of sets in, when it comes to our faces, it's largely because our facial movements have been the same way for so long. And then you factor in aging, you factor in sun exposure, it kind of etches itself in. So a lot of patients come to our office with concerns about wrinkles, and we have very well-trained, very experienced staff who administer neuromodulators like Botox, for example. And the good thing about it is that the muscle that makes the lines that you don't like, that's the target of Botox, right? And so you administer the injection into the muscle so that you weaken the muscle for several months. And so that's one aspect of softening the lines that we don't like. And then the other aspect is what we can do from the surface level. And so, I mean, skincare is obviously the foundation of anything that we do. Without skincare, it's like going to the gym, but never working out at home. It's getting professional work, but never doing the day-to-day nitty-gritty. And so I know you know the importance of that. And I do think everybody needs to know the importance of daily routine skincare. But also we have professional skincare services where you can get a chemical peel, you can get a laser treatment, and that's a professional skincare procedure that helps to reduce fine lines, wrinkles. And to some degree or other, there is always a really nice change when it comes to a problem or an issue like wrinkles. Like everything else, when it comes to our beauty, there is a maintenance that's involved. And that's where I think skincare is super vitally important. So you mentioned before, when it comes to Magnolia skincare, you were looking for something that's clean. And you mentioned there are many products out there that may not have the cleanest ingredients. So what does clean mean to you in the context of Magnolia Skin Essentials?
It's a great question. Thank you for asking it, because I think that the term clean can vary from brand to brand. I think at face value, clean sort of speaks to the average consumer and says natural. And I think a lot of people have this sort of idea that natural means farm to face. And it may be a great idea, but you can't really go grab, botanicals from your garden, smash them up and put them on your skin.
Right.
It wouldn't do anything. The the ingredients need to be extracted from the plant. And so most things need to undergo some sort of transformation that usually happens in a lab. And so it's not quite as simple as farm to face, but there is the preservation of all that goodness that comes from that botanical, or let's take hyaluronic acid, which is a naturally occurring substance in your body. There's, a lot of care dedicated to extracting the goodness so it is usable on your skin. And I think what really prompted me to go down that route was just in formulating, you understand, and I'm not a chemist, so I don't have a degree in chemistry, and I can't give you all the ins and outs. But as a formulator, you understand that there are certain functional ingredients, and you know what they do. And if you can get that from nature, why create it from a test tube? It sort of stands to reason that God put all these wonderful things there in nature and for us to use. So it's kind of a simple explanation there. But I think for me, what clean means is, and I do have this posted on my website, what I mean when I say clean. I have an entire list of synthetic ingredients that, according to my research and others, they have the potential to cause harm to your health. It doesn't mean that if you use it, something bad is going to happen per se, but there's the potential. And one of those things that I really dislike and will never use and really don't recommend that people use are petroleum-based products. Petrolatum, I know it's a very popular ingredient, but a lot of the seed oils, are extracted using a petroleum-based extraction process, and you can't completely refine the petroleum out of the end product. So there's also formaldehyde and formaldehyde releasers and siloxanes and just things, triclosan, just things that we know that have been proven to, they have the potential to cause your health harm. So why even go down that road? It doesn't mean that everything will have a clean option. But if you can lessen your intake of those other things, I think that's, a great thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was reading the list of ingredients on your website to avoid, and we're going to link the website in the show notes as well. One of the things that I saw that stood out to me was phthalates. And phthalates have a strong link to lower fertility rates, and PFAS, of course, as well. It just saddens me that for so long we didn't know, or nobody ever told us, or the marketing around these big skincare brands hid it, or were not transparent about it,
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful that Magnolia Skin Essentials is shedding light on this issue to promote health as well as beautiful skin.
Yes, thank you. I think that a lot of the mainstream, if you will, cosmetic chemists don't feel that some of these ingredients are problematic. And so there's quite a debate going on between the clean beauty world and then the, mainstream big box brands. And I actually, frankly, I listen a lot to it, but in the end, I keep coming back to, for me, again, it's not about throwing rocks at other companies or villainizing them. I just think that if you have these great ingredients, why wouldn't you,
And I think that's a good way to be, is that, yes, there are so many healthy, beautiful things in nature that if you manipulate them less, they can be of even more benefit for us.
Absolutely.
I want to ask about something that you mentioned in your website. And you said getting older is a luxury. How did that idea of getting older as a luxury come?
Well, I think that, I'm actually 61. And when I look back at my life, there are so many things that could have happened, maybe near accidents or whatever, that maybe I would not have been here if it had, gone a different way. And so I'm very grateful for the fact that I am still here. I've lived 61 years. I've seen a lot of things, not as much as my parents have. But for me, one of the most important things in my world are people. My husband, my children, my family, my neighbors and friends. And then, of course, the rest of society. It's important to me. I think that humanity is such a beautiful and wonderful thing. And so I think that the older you get, the more seasoned you get, the more struggles you've been through, and the more wisdom and strength you have as a person because of the struggles. And so there again, just like the beauty in nature, there's beauty there. I think that a lot of women who are my age and older, sometimes they feel down about themselves, and, sometimes because of their, the condition of their skin and lots of wrinkles and things. I actually think that in many, many women and people in general, those wrinkles speak to the beauty and the wisdom that a person has. And so while they may not be like what we want, I mean, I certainly try and reduce my fine lines and wrinkles. I'm not saying I, love them, but I don't think it's something to hide. I don't think aging is something to fear. I think that with age, especially if you've lived a good life, and what I mean by that is I don't mean a perfect life, because no one has a perfect life, but if you did the best that you could with what you were given, and you just try and be an honest, sincere person, I think that it wears well on your face. I think that you have value to give in society, and I think that the people around you can benefit from so much of your hindsight and the wisdom that you've pulled out of, your life. So that's why I say that. I truly believe it. And I think that there's a lot of fear these days about looking older, and I just don't think it's necessary. I think that beauty largely comes from within. A lot of it is how you take care of yourself and present yourself. And I encourage people to embrace it, embrace your age, and embrace the life that you lived, and share it with others with joy.
Wonderful. I love that. It just resonates with how I talk to different age groups of patients. The majority of people who come to my office are women, and many of them have concerns of a certain side of aging. And so it's Gen X and Boomer who are the main demographic. And I always tell them, I'm not going to make you look 20. I'm not going to make you look like Barbie. The goal is to present you with a more refreshed version of you. And I don't want you to look like anybody else. Of course, we can have inspiration photos, but I think perhaps the most profound inspiration photos are the ones of our younger selves in our 20s and 30s. And some people think that they have hooded eyes and brows, and they come to me in their 50s and 60s. And then when they show me pictures of their younger years, well, their brows were never super high to begin with. And that was part of their beauty from their younger years also. So it's not like we're trying to make you look drastically different. It's enough to where maybe some friends might say, oh, did you sleep more recently? Or, hey, did you go get a facial or a massage? Or did you go on a vacation? It's that kind of change. And to me, that speaks to the natural that you speak to when it comes to Magnolia Skin Essentials.
Nice. That's really nice. I can't tell you, the lines around the lips are frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Those lines are particularly tough because we use our mouths to do so many things. You know, it's involved with eating, it's involved with talking. You know, when we show our loved ones affection, we kiss with our lips. And so there's a lot of muscle movement. And we used to call them smokers' lines, but I don't call them smokers' lines because so many people who don't smoke still have those lines. So
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes call them pucker lines to my patients because everybody likes a kiss from a loved one, right? And
Oh,
so,
that's wonderful.
and so some of it has to do with the muscle movement that's continuous throughout our lives. Other aspects of it, it includes the slow but gradual loss of volume in our lips over time and around the soft tissue along the white part of our lips as well. So there's several factors at play. At the same time, there are multiple ways to help that, aside from having good lip skincare, obviously, and lip balm or lip gloss, you know, with SPF is vitally important, just like for the rest of our face. But yeah, I consider lips kind of like jewelry, if you will. And
Hmm.
how we jazz up our lips is kind of like the earrings we wear or the rings we wear. It's a way to kind of zhuzh up and show off your personality. So I really like that about
Nice.
lips.
Nice. Sounds great. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I think lips and eyes are really what show off us as individuals. So when it comes to Magnolia Skin Essentials and how it helps people with their skin, can you walk me through your ideal routine now for your own skincare and how the principles behind that are embedded into Magnolia as well?
Absolutely. I think that the perfect routine consists of 3 daily steps and 1 weekly step. And the first step in any skincare routine, obviously, is going to be a cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what's important is unless you have excessive oil on your skin, you don't need to wash twice a day. And so I never wash with a cleanser in the morning and the evening. I only wash in the evening. I do wear makeup, and so I want to wash that away, but also it's just helps your skin feel fresh. It removes debris that collected on your face during the day. In the morning, I will just, get my face wet in the shower or splash it with water. And that way I'm reducing the stripping of the sebum and, disturbing the microbiome. And so you cleanse. Now, the cleanser that I have is an aloe-based cleanser. So if anyone has, the stinging around the eyes, that those or the redness, it's happening because your skin is thinning. And so usually that's what's happening. And so the aloe is very comforting, and it's very soothing, even though you're using a cleanser. So cleansing is important. Then a toner is very important. And it's important because soap disturbs the pH balance of your skin. A toner will reset it. That's first and foremost. But also, if you're using a toner and you're on a cotton round and you're wiping it on your face and your neck, etc., then you're clearing away debris that can leave your pores open, that can keep your pores open or start blackheads, things like that. And, you can get rid of makeup that you missed, when you washed. But to triple the effect, my toner has some wonderful ingredients. It's got vitamin B. It's got silk, which is an ingredient that forms a film, a protective film. So the moisture in your face stays put. And a lot of toners will, be alcohol-based or some sort of stringent-based toner, and it strips your skin. So try not to use that. But a cleanser, a toner, and then a moisturizer. And moisturizers are very important. You should find one that works for you. I formulate my moisturizers pretty much for mature skin, and you can use a lightweight. Some women prefer a lightweight moisturizer that they can wear under the makeup. Others prefer that heavy moisturizer. But I like to recommend using a moisturizer and then a serum on top. And I use the serum at night because you give your face time to rest and rejuvenate. And if you've got a serum that's going to fortify your skin, it's just a really beautiful feeling when you wake up. Super soft skin, to the touch, you glow. I think it's a great thing to do. And then the weekly step is exfoliation because, just really simply, we have all these dead skin cells, this layer on our skin. And so we need to remove it. If we want to have a healthy glow, you need to get rid of those dead cells. And so don't use an exfoliator that has pumice, like very fine pumice or walnut husks, or a lot of the things that have traditionally been used as exfoliants. They can give you micro tears and cause a lot more problems. So something like my exfoliator has jojoba beads. So they're good for the environment. They're great for your skin, and they wash away quite easily. There's nothing that's going to tear your skin at all. So those are my recommended steps, just 3 steps every day, 1 step every week. It doesn't have to be expensive. There's nothing wrong with indulging yourself with extra steps. I don't have a problem with that. And if it, makes your skin just that more beautiful, go ahead and do it. But I think by and large, a lot of women don't want to spend the time in front of the mirror, and they don't want to spend the extra money. So as long as you have those 3 steps daily and 1 step weekly, I think you're good.
Yeah, I love that. It's that it doesn't have to be complicated. And on that same token, it doesn't have to be time consuming or expensive.
Right. And it can get expensive fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think of so many voices out on the internet and on social media talking about their 10-step routine or their 14-step routine. But in actuality, all we need is a few. And sometimes simpler is better.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So when it comes to the messaging behind skincare, and in your search of finding the most natural, the most clean, the right product for you, how would you say that a skincare novice should start out?
That is a great question. I think finding a cleanser that doesn't irritate your skin and that doesn't strip your skin is key, because you have to use it every day. I've heard a lot of complaints about just as soon as a person washes their face, they feel like, oh my gosh, I have to get something on this right away because it feels super tight. And that's not a good sign. And I think that really goes for any age, with the exception of people who have like super oil production going on. If they've got, sometimes you've just got oil right here or right here, no matter what you do. That may not be the effect that a cleanser has on your skin if you have that issue. But for, normal skin, normal or dry skin, combination skin, find a cleanser and test it on your hands, test it on the back of your neck, behind your ear or something first, and see what happens. But find a good cleanser and then just do the same. I think it's important to know that a lot of the drugstore moisturizers, they are just as good as an expensive one you can find in, say, Sephora or Ulta or at the department store counter. Oftentimes, the ingredients don't really differ that much. If you are interested, I think it's a great idea to read labels and learn what's in your product. But I just think that using a cleanser, using a simple toner, not anything alcohol based, and then a nice moisturizer is going to be the springboard, for anything you want to add after that. But if you, as you mentioned before, there are so many choices, and having a lot of choices really isn't a bad thing. I don't think. It's just a matter of like cutting through the noise and all the marketing to really just say, these things are good for my skin and this is what I will use. It's a very personal thing, but it doesn't, I don't think it takes a lot, just, a little bit of trial and error, and then you're good.
And I think that's really true, that skincare is a very personal journey. It's hard to find anything that is one size fits all. And it kind of goes back to my second core tenet, is that all of us are unique. And some of us, just starting from skin color, and then in terms of the amount of oil, you can be oily, dry, combo, any one of those things. And then just whatever genes you have, right? Some of us may have a family history of certain skin conditions, God forbid skin cancer or anything like that. But yeah, there are so many variables when it comes to our skin. And for it being the largest organ on our body, right, just by surface area and by weight, skin is the largest organ. It's imperative that we treat it well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So when it comes to skincare, what's a common misconception that a lot of people have that you feel the need to bust that myth?
Oh, I love being asked this question. There are actually a lot, but here's one of my big things. If you pick up a product and on the label it says therapeutic grade, medical grade, what are some of the other grades? They're meaningless. They're meaningless terms. And I think that a lot of people are swayed into possibly purchasing a product that's way more expensive than it needs to be because of something like that. Even hypoallergenic is really a meaningless term, because anyone literally can slap that on their label and use it without backing it up. It's not, these are not regulated terms. And I think that a lot of times when I see therapeutic grade on a label, I get a little upset because it's misleading. It doesn't mean anything. There's no regulation to it. And you can't, how do you prove it's therapeutic grade? I mean, there's just really no way to back that up. So just, be aware of, let me put it this way. A lotion is a lotion is a lotion, meaning, since the inception of things like moisturizers, lotions, soap, the formula has functional ingredients. And they have to be there, like water. Water is a functional ingredient. It forms lotion. It has to be there. And so do the emulsifier and other things like that. And so everything else besides those ingredients is an additive. And an additive can be great for your skin or not so great for your skin. It all depends. I think the popularity of a product with particular additives depends on the marketing.
Sure.
And so as consumers, we sort of have to be aware that, the lotion in CVS is the same as the lotion at the Clinique counter when it comes to functional ingredients. Everything else that goes into it, that's where the difference is. So are you really buying something that it warrants $175 an ounce? Just ask yourself. Or are you buying it because a celebrity uses it and they say it works for their skin? I'm not saying the celebrity is lying, but it's the weight. So it's just a good idea to just pay attention to the story that you're being told by the marketing people. They need to sell a product, just the same way I do, but you want the most truth in the story, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Another, gosh, we could go on for a long time. If you want to know if you're getting the ingredient that the product is claiming to have in there, if you want to know if you're getting a meaningful amount, just look at the label on the back and look for the words parfum, perfume, or fragrance. And, all of those are basically fragrance, but they typically cannot be used over 0.5% to 1% in the formulation because it will irritate your skin. And so you can be sure that if that's on the label, everything below that is used in minuscule amounts. Right. And so if you see something with, say, ceramides or hyaluronic acid and they fall below the listing of fragrance, then it tells you it's a marketing ingredient. It's not really going to do much for your face. It's only enough in there to claim that it has it in there. And I want to go ahead and say that not all brands do this. There are plenty of brands that, their claims are valid, but there are some out there. And unfortunately, they charge a lot of money for their products. So just be aware so you don't, pay for something that isn't really there. But those are a few. I think that if any skincare company claims that natural seed oils like carrot seed oil or red raspberry seed oil is a replacement for synthetic SPF or sunscreen, I would run away screaming the other direction because it's not true. And that you can find the research done on it. It's been tested many times, and any SPF protection that those provide is pretty much negligible. It's
right.
Not enough.
I imagine there's no good way to measure the SPF with a number, let's say with other conventional sunscreens.
Well, I am not a sunscreen expert, but what I have learned from those who are is that, the number on the packaging directly relates to the amount of time that you'll be protected. So if it's an SPF 60, you have an hour in the sun without having to reapply it. So I know that there are people out there who can measure these things, but I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, we just tend to think that the higher the number, the better.
Right.
But yeah, going back to the ingredient list, it's interesting to know that, and I think when we look at food ingredients, we think the same thing, is that generally the farther down the list the ingredient is, the smaller and smaller the amount of it in your product. And so to some degree that holds true with skincare products as well. It's great if the front of the bottle says hyaluronic acid, but if it's the second to last ingredient after the word fragrance, it's an afterthought, really.
Absolutely. And, by law, everyone who puts out a product in the skincare world has to include ingredients, and they have to be listed in order of, the concentration of use. So, yeah. It's frustrating to me because even as we speak, like recently I've seen ads for skincare products that make that claim, and that's kind of a dangerous claim to make. And, someone could use that product thinking that they're protected and really have a bad result. I don't know how they can, well, they can get away with it because, up till now, the skincare world hasn't been heavily regulated. That's changing. There's a bill called MOCRA. It's an acronym, but it's in effect, now 2025. And so things will be changing. Things will be getting a little more tight. But for now, it's dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah. And just on a broader scale of skincare aesthetics and our specialty, when it comes to beauty, medical-based beauty treatments and professionals who provide these services, it is not like your standard medical specialties, whether it's internal medicine, surgery, psychiatry, radiology, things like that. There's really not much of an overseeing governing board regarding the efficacy of the treatments that people provide, the safety profiles, the results.
Wow.
There's no established standard of care, as you would say, in other arenas of medicine. And so when it comes to the qualifications of people, the experience of people who provide certain treatments, the devices they use, and kind of just like skincare companies, device companies have to sell their product. And so they're selling to us, the professionals, in a certain way that enforces a certain message about what their product can do for our patients, for our practice, but ultimately also for their bottom line, is that there are perhaps less than solid claims or less than solid data sets regarding certain treatments. So I think there's kind of the wild, wild west of skincare. It also applies to aesthetic medicine, plastic surgery as well, in terms of the providers, quality, qualifications, things like that, as well as the treatments that we provide. So I think there's more to come on that. Probably not in the immediate future, but definitely as the demand for medically based beauty continues to rise.
Wow. That's very interesting. But also, kudos to you. You're double board certified, right?
Yes. So I trained initially in head and neck surgery. And so my impetus for pursuing that specialty is that how we present ourselves to the world is all here.
Mm.
Our hands could look the same. I mean, we all have unique fingerprints, but our hands could look the same. Our bodies could look very similar. Really, our unique identifying feature is right here, and how we present ourselves to the world, how people perceive us. And so by just focusing on this small area of our body, we can make a big impact on people's lives. And then when it comes to facial plastic surgery as a subset of that, it really is that our appearance and how we function with our face and neck, they're inextricably tied. There's no way you can separate those two. And there were many instances in my training where our aesthetic and our function, we dealt with both as part of a patient's treatment. So that's why I love what I do.
Wow, that's really interesting. Very interesting.
And I think that, as a surgical field, a surgical specialty, one of the things that we learn is skin, but it's not our main focus. That's for a dermatologist, and then subspecialties of dermatology. For that scope of study, at the same time, as a facial plastic surgeon, I cannot ignore the fact that skin health and beauty is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you deal with it in such a way that, I would think it would be primary concern based on, what you do. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I don't get to talk just to people who are in my line of training, and I get to talk with folks who make the world a more beautiful place in all sorts of different ways. I've had photographers on the podcast. I've had lash artists. I'm looking forward to maybe a brow artist or someone like that even. And in terms of a skincare brand founder, creator, a formulator, I think I have a very nice guest in you who has that scope of knowledge and expertise to really help make the world a more beautiful place. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. I appreciate that.
So as we wrapped up this conversation with Lisa, can you talk to us about an area of your life outside of Magnolia Skin Essentials where you find beauty on a regular basis?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, I would like to thank you for having me on the podcast, and it's been enlightening for me as well. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
I think something that I have done for a very long time is I'm an author also of self-help books, so to speak, just addressing the pain of divorce. And I've, for about 23 years, mostly on a volunteer basis, have helped people struggle through their divorce and learn how to rebuild and move, make peace with what happened, move past it into a better life. And in that, I see incredible beauty, because for as broken as a person can feel after going through a divorce, and it's devastating, and you just feel lost, for a period of time, there's hope. And hope is key to beauty, truth, to living life, to all these things that are so important to us as humans. And I see beauty in people who decide not to be victims, but instead decide to be resilient, to learn, to grow from their experience, and to come out on the other end, on the other side of it, a stronger, wiser person. It's so important. And it's a beautiful process to watch. I hate to necessarily use beautiful in regard to, going through a divorce. It's not beautiful. But what is beautiful is seeing that resilience and strength that a person has, being used, and clinging to hope, and realizing that there is still so much left to their life. And despite that terrible thing, they still are a human being with great value, great worth, and a lot to give.
I appreciate that. And I think that is an area of life where probably there's more conversation that needs to be had. I don't know personally, but I can imagine there's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of wanting to hide and not tell your story. But I'm glad that Lisa Duffy, an advocate like you, for people who are in pain, whether it's from life or people who are just fed up with not having the best skin that they would like. They have a guide here to turn to in multiple facets. And so thank you for sharing your story about Magnolia Skin Essentials. Thank you for sharing your passion and your dedication for helping people of divorce come out on the other side better, stronger, more beautiful, and more resilient. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if people want to link up with you, learn more about Magnolia Skin Essentials, learn more about Lisa Duffy, the person, how can people reach you?
My website, thank you, is magnoliaskinessentials.com. Of course, all one word. And that's where they will find not just products, but my backstory, and a lot of different things that can help them along their journey. And I am on Instagram and Facebook Again, Magnolia Skin Essentials is the extension. And I do have a YouTube channel. So that's where they can find me.
All right. We're going to have all those links for Lisa in the show notes as well as the description. And again, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me, spending your valuable time here talking about how you make the world a more beautiful place.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the You Are Beautiful podcast with J. Kim MD. If you have feedback or comments, please leave them. We'd love to hear how this show has impacted your life, and if you have any suggestions about what else we can discuss here on the show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email podcast.youarebeautiful@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to get in touch with you. Again, I'll leave you with these 3 core tenets to achieve the most beautiful version of yourself. The first is, you are beautiful. The second, you are unique. And the third, you are worth it. Until next time, take care.